Blue Jays Nation, can we all just pause for a moment and take a collective breath, because this off-season has felt like standing on a shoreline while wave after wave crashes in without warning. Just when you think the sea might calm, another surge hits harder than the last. The latest one came with a familiar name and a staggering number, as Kyle Tucker, one of the most dangerous bats on the market, packed his bags and signed a colossal $240 million deal with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Let's not sugarcoat it. That hurts. It cuts deep. For a fan base that has watched this front office push its chips into the middle of the table, missing out on a player like Tucker feels like watching a winning hand slip through your fingers at the very last second. There's a particular kind of disappointment that comes with being close. Not rebuilding. Not irrelevant. Close. The Blue Jays weren't window shopping. They were knocking on doors, asking serious questions, moving with intent. Tucker wasn't a pipe dream. He was a genuine possibility. And when that possibility vanishes, it's natural to feel as though something vital has been taken from the vision of what this team could be. The imagination runs wild, picturing moonshots into the Toronto night and October moments that echo for decades. Losing that dream stings precisely because it felt real. But here's where the story takes a turn, and this is where perspective becomes everything. Because just as the disappointment settled in, like fog rolling across the harbor, a voice cut through it with calm authority. Ken Rosenthal of The Athletic, one of the most respected insiders in the sport, didn't join the hand-wringing. He didn't frame the Blue Jays as a team licking its wounds. Instead, he delivered a sentence that stopped people in their tracks. He said the Toronto Blue Jays are still expected to be the top team in the American League. Let that sink in for a moment. After missing on Tucker. After all the noise. After all the doubt. Still the team to beat. That isn't blind optimism. That isn't a hot take designed to stir engagement. That is a considered assessment from someone who understands roster construction, financial reality, and competitive balance better than most. Rosenthal's confidence speaks to something deeper than one free agent decision. It speaks to the foundation that has been laid this winter, brick by expensive brick. Because while the Tucker news grabbed headlines, the Blue Jays have quietly been one of the most aggressive and committed teams in baseball. This front office didn't flinch. They didn't retreat. They opened the checkbook and spent a combined $337 million on Dylan Case, Kazuma Okamoto, Tyler Rogers, and Cody Pons. These are not cosmetic moves. These are structural reinforcements. Each signing addresses a specific need, strengthening the spine of a roster that already came agonizingly close to ultimate glory. This wasn't panic spending. This was targeted, deliberate investment, the kind that signals a franchise intent on finishing what it started. When Rosenthal says the Blue Jays are a strong bet to repeat as American League champions, even after striking out on Tucker, he is pointing to depth, balance, and resilience. This is not a top-heavy team clinging desperately to one superstar to save it. This is a roster built to withstand injuries, slumps, and the brutal attrition of a long season. The outfield, even without Tucker, remains in excellent shape. The rotation has been fortified. The bullpen has teeth. The infield has been injected with new life. This is a team designed to win in multiple ways. And then there's the financial reality, which often gets lost in emotional reactions. The Blue Jays' luxury tax payroll is already well beyond the highest threshold, sitting at $34 million over. Every additional dollar spent comes with a punitive tax attached to it, and had Tucker joined Toronto, 90 cents of every dollar paid in 2026 would have gone straight back to the league. That is not a trivial consideration. That is a massive strategic burden. The Dodgers, operating in their own financial stratosphere, can absorb that kind of hit more comfortably. The Blue Jays, while willing to spend, still have to think about sustainability. This is where restraint becomes a form of strength. Sometimes the boldest move is knowing when to step back. Landing Tucker would have been symbolic, a statement that Toronto now lives permanently among baseball's biggest spenders. But Rosenthal's point is that the Blue Jays didn't need that symbol to validate where they already are. Their off-season body of work has already done that. The perception shift has happened. The respect is there. If you're finding this perspective helpful, now's a perfect moment to like the video, share it with a fellow Jays fan who might still be feeling deflated, and subscribe to *** the Blue Jays report *** so you don't miss what comes next, because the story is far from over. In fact, missing out on Tucker may have inadvertently sharpened the focus on the most emotionally charged decision of this entire off-season. Bo Bichette. According to MLB.com's Mark Feinsand, the chances of a reunion between Bichette and the Blue Jays may have actually increased in the wake of the Tucker news. And that's fascinating, because it suggests a shift not just in finances, but in priorities. With Tucker off the board, the front office can now concentrate its full attention, and potentially its remaining flexibility, on keeping a homegrown star where he belongs. This is not a straightforward negotiation. Bichette has voiced legitimate concerns about the toll Toronto's artificial turf takes on his body. These are not excuses. They are the realities of a player whose livelihood depends on durability. But there is another force at play here, one that doesn't show up on spreadsheets or contract projections. Bichette is deeply close with Vladimir Guerrero Jr., and the idea of the two of them spending their entire careers together as Blue Jays carries immense emotional weight. Legacy matters. Identity matters. Being part of something bigger than yourself matters. Of course, this wouldn't be a proper off-season drama without a rival circling. The Philadelphia Phillies have already made their intentions clear, holding a Zoom meeting with Bichette and signaling that they are very much in this race. This isn't a courtesy call. This is competition. The Phillies are aggressive, ambitious, and unafraid to spend. They are offering Bichette an alternative future, one that will test his loyalty and his priorities. So here we are, standing at a crossroads shaped by one signing that didn't happen and another that still might. The loss of Kyle Tucker hurts, but it has also clarified the path ahead. This is now about focus. About conviction. About deciding whether this era of Blue Jays baseball will be defined by continuity or transition. Securing Bichette would send a message as loud as any free agent splash. It would say that Toronto values its own, that it believes in the core that brought it to the brink of a championship, and that it is willing to solve problems rather than run from them. If the Blue Jays can keep Bichette, alongside Guerrero Jr. and the impressive new additions already made, Ken Rosenthal's projection starts to feel less like optimism and more like inevitability. This team would not just be talented. It would be unified. Dangerous. Hardened by heartbreak and driven by unfinished business. If they can't, then yes, there will be questions, and difficult ones at that. This is the moment of truth, Blue Jays Nation. The front office has shown it will spend. It has shown it will act. Now it must decide how this story continues. Does missing out on Tucker feel different knowing that one of the most respected voices in baseball still sees Toronto as the American League standard-bearer? And how confident are you that Bo Bichette's future still lies north of the border, despite the noise and the pressure from Philadelphia? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. This community thrives on discussion, debate, and passion. And if you're ready to ride whatever comes next, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to *** the Blue Jays report *** for all the latest analysis as this defining off-season reaches its climax. The waves haven't stopped yet, but this team is still standing tall in the water. Let's go, Jays.